Hello and welcome to Money Matters TV. I'm Mike Dever, founder of Brandywine Asset Management and host of today's show. My co-host is Dan White of Daniel A. White and Associates, and our guest today, and this is unique and you definitely want to see this, is Sam Sandler, America's premier deaf magician. So before we get to our guest, Dan, let's talk a little bit about stocks. And the market had its worst year last year since 2008. You're hearing people saying, "Okay, we're done." I just saw Jim Cramer today saying it's a bull market and we're off to new highs. So do you share this sentiment?
Mike, I wish I did, but unfortunately, I'm on the other side of this fence. Let's just walk back a ways a little bit. What happened last year was, we got into the year and inflation was north of 9%. So the Federal Reserve used the tools that they have, and they are running out of tools, but the tools they have are to raise interest rates, tighten the money supply, and they've been doing it. They had the fastest rate hiking cycle really of all time. I mean, they've gone from 0 to 4.5%. Of course, they're meeting today, and everybody's anticipating another quarter point hike up. And what does that accomplish? Well, so far we've gone from 9.1 on inflation to 6.5. The Fed wants to get down to 2%. So 6.5 is not 2. So, right. And I think the problem is Jerome Powell has already came out and said that he's a big Paul Volcker follower, and Volcker in the 70s stopped hiking early, and then inflation took off again. So he doesn't want that to happen. So the problem is he might keep hiking a little bit longer, and he might keep rates higher longer than people think to try to get this inflation under control. The other issue we have is our debt. Obviously, we have been in debt for quite a while, and we just keep growing it and growing it and growing it. We're over 31 trillion as we speak now, and it wasn't a problem when interest rates were at 0, but now we have interest rates at 4.5, 4.75%, and we've got to pay that interest on the government debt. So that's going to be an issue, and we're starting to see this a little bit because what are we seeing in the news today? Companies are starting to lay off people. Amazon just announced big layoffs. Microsoft's cutting 5% of their workforce. Salesforce, 3M. So the rate hikes are working. I don't know if they're working as quickly as the government would hope, but unfortunately, as these things happen, I think we're going to see a slowdown. We're going to see earnings take a hit, and we're going to go into a recession. So no, to answer your question, I don't think we're out of the woods just yet.
So you don't agree with the bullish consensus that's starting to reform out there, and I can see that. We haven't had any real. I mean, we're seeing announcements of layoffs, but we haven't seen that affecting the labor market yet, right? It's
right. The labor market's still pretty strong. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. GDP was positive last quarter, and the labor market still appears very strong. So the unemployment reports. I mean, the Fed's favorite phrase is, we're going to hike, but it's data dependent. So what's the data? Well, it's the jobs report, it's the inflation number, and they're going to take all that into account. But everything still looks like it's moving pretty good, and I don't see really the slowdown yet, and we know that has to come. So
right. Okay. So to move into then, how do people handle that and talk about retirees specifically? So they just passed the Secure Act 2.0.
Yeah.
What are the important aspects of that? How does that affect retirees? What should they be aware of?
There's a lot of things in the Secure Act. Well, the original Secure Act was back in 2020. Now they've come out with 2.0. And one of the major things, which we run into all the time.
And explain just what's the original Secure Act? What did that?
Well, that was in 2020, and they kind of did some major things there. They raised the required minimum distribution age from 70.5 to 72. They eliminated the stretch IRA, where you could inherit an IRA account and stretch those distributions out over your life expectancy. They got rid of that. They were the major ones.
Okay.
So now 2.0 comes out, and once again, they're raising the RMD age again. It went from 72 to 73. And ultimately, they're going to raise it up to 75 years old, but that's not for another 10 years. Okay. So crazy things there. They did a lot of things. A lot of the things in 2.0 affect retirement plans, 401k plans. They're allowing more examples of people being able to invade those accounts prior to 59 and a half without a penalty. So domestic abuse, natural disasters, they've included some of these things where, hey, we're going to allow you to pull some money out, but we're not going to bang it at 10% penalty.
Still not a new Tesla, though. You can't use it for ordinary expenses, right?
Nope. And the other thing they're doing, they're really Roth friendly. They want more money going into Roths. Why? Because the debt is over 31 trillion. And if you put money in a Roth, you don't get a tax deduction. So you've still got to pay the government. So they're adding more Roth alternatives inside simple IRAs, inside SEP IRAs, and even on matching contributions, on catch-up contributions, they're making the employers now put them into Roth accounts. So it's kind of an interesting thing, the way the government is doing it. They're giving you some things, but as they always do, they take some things away.
Well, they allow the Roth IRA accounts and for people that have the greater than 125,000, I think, is what limits a Roth contribution now.
No, they still have those. They still have those. On contributions, they still have their earnings limits. Yep, they still have them.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it is interesting that it's the combination of trying to make it so people save for retirement and encourage that. I find it interesting that essentially the government's on that side now with the Roths, because I've generally told people take the Roth.
Yeah.
I only see interest rate and not interest rates, but tax rates going
Taxes going up.
You know, and essentially that's the play you're making here is I'll put it in there today and it's tax free.
Yeah, I think with any of our children or people just starting out, that really is the rule of thumb. If you're not in a real high tax bracket, put it in a Roth. Try and get as much money in a Roth as possible. Now, when you get closer to retirement, you're in a higher tax bracket usually, and you may not even be able to make contributions. So you really have to come up with some type of plan to maybe do partial Roth conversions and keep you in these low tax brackets while we have them.
Yeah, just for the viewers that maybe aren't as familiar, a Roth IRA is a regular IRA. When you put your money in there, you're not paying tax on that money. It comes out of your pay before you put it in, so it reduces your tax bite that year. A Roth IRA, you pay your taxes and then the money goes in after that, so you don't get a deduction in your income for your tax rates when you do that. But from that point on, it's tax-free earnings. So as Dan's saying, if you're in a low tax bracket today, put that money in there now because you're paying little amount of tax on it. Whereas possibly when you're withdrawing that, you expect to be and hope to be in a higher tax bracket because your income's higher. Okay. What else would you? I see something here that you talk about in building retirement income plan, advocating for income flooring. What is that? What does that entail?
Yeah, so income flooring, I mean, one of the philosophies we try to follow with our clients is you have to have some base level of income covered, by a floor, whether that be Social Security, whether it be pensions. And we know fewer and fewer people have defined benefit pension plans anymore. So really what people come in and see us with, they have Social Security. When do I take that? And that's a whole different conversation. But then also, they don't have pensions, so they have 401k plans, they have 403b plans, and it's not really about rate of return at that point. It's about, hey, I need X amount a month to live on. So if we can take some of that money and convert it to an income stream, either through some type of an annuity product, if we can get people up to $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month that they have coming in and guaranteed income to pay the mortgage, to pay the car insurance, to pay the medical expenses. Maybe we can't cover the country club or the trip to Europe, okay? But that's why you keep money in the market. So you have some in the market, but you have your base expenses covered by an income floor. So if the market goes south on you at the wrong time, you still have the money coming in to pay the bills. You may not be able to take the trip to Europe. You may not be
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's great.
You gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so we do have an audience question here from Gene Rogers in Philadelphia. What wealth management principles would you advise clients to follow? That's a pretty broad question. How would you answer that one, Dan?
Yeah, it is a broad question. And I think it goes back to what we just talked about as far as income flooring. It's kind of the same thing. Even when you're just starting out, making money right out of college, it's kind of like building a house. You have to have that strong, sturdy foundation. Before you pick out the granite countertops and the curtains and all that, you got to make sure the house is solidly built. And I think that applies to wealth management as well. You have to, from an insurance standpoint, you got to make sure you have all your insurances in place. You got to have your life insurance, your disability insurance, homeowners, and all that. And then you get to your portfolio, and it's the same type of thing. Asset allocation, diversification. Obviously, we want to be doing all those things. And I really think it boils down to how close are you to needing the money?
Okay.
They always say the three most important factors in real estate are location, location, location. If you're near water, you're going to pay $500,000 more. Well, I think with investments, it's time, time, and time. When do you need to access that money? If you need it in a very short period of time, if you're saving for college and your son or daughter is 17 years old, well, you can't take a lot of risks with that money because you're going to be pulling it out in 1 to 4 years. If you're saving for retirement and retirement is 10, 20, 30 years away,
Write it out.
we can take more risks with that money. So I think from a wealth management standpoint, you have to kind of take a bucket approach and say, hey, when am I going to need the money and how much risk can I afford to take with that money depending upon when I need to access.
I think the short answer is give Dan a call and he can help you work through that. Okay, and if you're interested in sending your question in to Money Matters TV, here's how you can do that.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says, Send us your questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our host and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, MONEY, -matters, MATTERS, TV.com.
Thank you. And now I think we're in for a real treat, or maybe I should say trick. We're introducing our guest today is Sam Sandler, America's premier deaf magician. Well, hello there, Sam.
Hello there, Mike. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. I mean, are you really a magician? How do you prove that you're a magician?
Well, how about I do some magic for you?
I'm up for it. That'd be great.
Check this out. Here we go. I'll go to my table in position here. Every magician should do a card trick. I'm going to do one, but I'm going to do one with you. Mike, what we're going to do is this. I have a deck of cards here, okay? Now, Mike, what I would like you to do, and I can't see it right now, if you can bring it back maybe, all I want you to do is I want you to either name a card or you can tell me one as I'm pointing through, tell me to stop at one.
It looks like a bunch of black spades near the middle there. Keep going right there.
Right there.
Yep, back up one.
The 5 or the 10?
The one on your left. What I can't see the number. That's one. Yep,
10
you
of
got
spades.
it.
You want the 10?
10, yep, 10 of spades.
Okay, now you could have named any one of the 52 cards. You chose the 10 of spades, okay? Now,
Yes.
Here's the thing. As I did, you could have chosen any card you wanted, but you chose the 10 of spades. So we're going to take the 10 of spades. This is your card, okay? Your card will be right there, okay? I will not touch it. We'll leave it right there so you can see. Now, here's the thing. If you had said the 10 of hearts, well, this one, that's mine. And if you had said the 10 diamonds, well, guess what? That one's also mine. And of course, if you had said the 10 of clubs, that one's mine. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. See, this card's mine, that card's mine, that one's mine, this one's mine, that one's mine, that one's mine, that one's mine. Matter of fact, all those are mine too. All these are mine right there. Mine. All these are mine. And remember, you had a free choice of any card you wanted. And I said that would be your card. And guess what? This is indeed yours.
Wow.
The only one that says yours on it. That's just crazy talk right there.
Okay, so you are a true magician. That I see now. But thank you. That's good.
It's fun.
So, I guess then
I love it. I'm thankful that I get to do this for a living.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I have a couple questions. one and primarily, how did you get started in magic? But I really want to hear how you do it as a deaf magician. I mean, it's difficult. I know, and we talked a little before the show, you can read lips. I would think that's even more difficult on a screen like this. But I'd love to hear how you got started and how you actually are able to do that.
Well, I actually, before I talk about being deaf, I actually didn't get into magic first. I got into juggling. I was at my uncle's house when I was about 14 years old. And long story short, I was walking past one of the rooms. He had a friend over who happened to be a retired Barnum and Bailey clown. And as I was walking past, he was actually juggling. And it was like one of those slow motion moments where you're like, and I walked over to him, just 14 years old, and said, "Teach me." And the guy taught me how to juggle. I came home. I had nothing but croquet balls. I don't recommend practicing with croquet balls because you'd be messed up.
No, they're hard and heavy.
But I started learning to juggle. Then I got into clowning. And then I was Gizmo the Magic Clown for like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. And then graduating high school, I had an opportunity to tour with the third largest touring illusion show with my friend Toby Travis. Who wasn't my friend then. I became friends after the years. When I came home, I said, I want to be a magician. And I started working on my own show. And over the years, I worked on my show. And as you mentioned about being deaf, that happened about 16 years ago, 17 years ago, that I became profoundly deaf. And that changed everything. Now, I was a full-time magician at the time, but losing your hearing, suddenly, over the span of 3 weeks, going from being able to hear to not being able to hear,
Wow,
threw me into despair. And we'll jump right into it if you want. I didn't handle it well. This is a business, and I was running a business, and it was successful. I was performing all the time. I was making a living. I was also a single dad at the time. I'd been raising my daughter since she was just 6 months old. And at that time, she was 10 years old when I lost my hearing.
wow.
And that first year and a half, I didn't handle it well. I whined, I complained, I got mad, I got angry, and I did everything wrong. And ended up losing everything. I mean, I literally was selling furniture to buy food, to feed my daughter, and ended up losing my home to foreclosure. And I felt like an idiot because I knew I had the wrong attitude. And losing my home was the moment I said, enough is enough. I decide if I move forward or fall behind. I decide what happens next.
Yeah.
And I created a new show called Definitely Magic, DEAF, Definitely Magic. And I started working that hard, and talking about the business side of it. I created a whole new business basically, because now instead of just being a magician, I wanted to inspire others. I wanted to show them that I can come back from this, losing everything, losing my home, selling my prized possessions, my Hot Wheels collection, and selling magic props and everything off. I had nothing except me and my daughter. And I did it. I worked hard. I booked the show. I started booking it for whatever anybody would pay. I'd go into schools where I would teach about deaf history, culture, self-esteem. I wanted to inspire others and show them that you can't give up. And that show, for about a year and a half, I worked it. And then someone out in Kansas heard about my show, a booking agent. And he contacted me and said, "Sam, I love your show. I love your story. I want to send you out across America."
No kidding.
Mind blown. And we signed a contract, and my daughter was about to enter 10th grade. And the school supported it and said that this would be wonderful. And she was my assistant. Now, I know a lot of people hear about, their kid was their assistant, how cute. My daughter, and I'm going to brag for a quick moment, she was a level 6 gymnast. And she was also, then when she left gymnastics, she wanted to become a dancer. And her dance team made it to the U.S. finals and actually won the national championships. So yes, my
Wow.
13-year-old was a national champion, and she's also been performing with me in hundreds of shows at that point. When we went to it, we performed in 400 schools in 45 states. 250,000 students got to be inspired in one school year. Why? Because they changed my attitude from, I'm deaf, I can't do anything, to I'm deaf. So what?
Wow.
And that's the thing. Attitude is the number one secret weapon to success. That's why I teach these kids.
Yeah, what a great example, and what you did for your daughter. I mean, just for her to be able to witness that transformation and realize what you could accomplish. I mean, I can't imagine what path that set her on now. But that's another show. But it's just got to be so inspirational for her and put her in the right direction, I'm sure.
So Sam, Dan, quick question here. So, magic's kind of a niche kind of business, and you say you travel the country. I mean, what type of, you said schools. I mean, what's the smallest act? What's the largest act? And how do you decide what to charge these people?
How do I decide what again?
How much to charge people when you're doing your magic shows?
Oh, how do I yeah, well, that becomes a tricky thing. And a lot of magicians talk about that. They always want to know how to price out their shows.
Yeah.
Honestly, the simple answer is it's basically cost, your expenses and what you want to make. That's the bottom line of it. But the reality is that different places, different businesses, and different entities have different budgets. A corporation contacts me, they have thousands and thousands of dollars for the budget. A school contacts, they might only have 500 or 1,000 or 1,500. A private event, they might want me, but they can only afford, 750. I always joke and say, it depends on if I want to eat that week or not. Because going out and making $500 is still making $500. So I worked on pricing on the value of the different shows I do. And I don't have an A, B, and C show. I have an A show. I have different versions of that A show, but they're all amazing and spectacular. So someone booking me for when I used to do birthday parties. When I did birthday parties, I came in, I set up sound system, a backdrop, all the magic. I literally got there 50 minutes before the show would start to set everything up. I wanted to create the same feel as if you were watching me on stage in Atlantic City or wherever. So I tried to sell myself that way to different people. Obviously, the more equipment I take when I'm having to hook up the truck and the trailer, 16-foot trailer, and we have to go out and travel with big illusions, pay my assistant, there's more expenses involved. So you have to factor all that in. But again, it comes all the way back down to that what it's costing you to do it and how much the value, because, magic is a niche market. But I think it's still an art. It's an art, and it deserves how should I say? It deserves, quality expense to it. It deserves to be paid for it, because especially if you put in someone like me that's put in, 20, 30 years of practice, rehearsals, it's not just that 50-minute show. It's the 20 years of working and perfecting every magic trick, every moment, every move. That's what they're paying for. They don't see that.
Absolutely. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, no doubt.
And you can pretty much, if they give you $500, you can pretty much conjure that up and turn it into 1,000 or 2,000 anyway with your magic, right? It doesn't matter what you charge.
Yeah.
So
have me back on. I'll show you some of that money-making magic.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Do you have another trick you can show us? Something else here?
Yeah, actually, I use both of you here. Check this out. I'm going to bring the table back in. So, as a magician, I get to travel all over the country and outside and everything. And a lot of people, they always say to me, magicians use trick decks. And I don't use a trick deck. I use a different deck.
Well, I can't read it. I'm sorry. It's glaring.
It says different deck.
Different. Oh.
A little bit of lighting there.
Got it. Here we go. Yep.
Use a different deck. So, now, I'm going to ask the two of you. I get to travel all different countries first. Let me show you. So I have all these different cards at different backs, okay? And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make two predictions first off. One for Mike here. He's a little tricky over here. I'm going to go with that. All right. So if you can bring me guys back up for just 1 second here. All right. Dan, I'm going to start with you. I have here, okay, this is the King of Hearts, okay? I put that over there. That's a prediction for you, and I'll explain in a moment. All you got to do is say the word stop. I'm going to start dealing down. You just say the word stop. Anytime you want to say stop, just say stop.
Stop.
Oh, now that's in my hand. You want to put it back, or you want to put it down?
Put it back.
Put it back. Oh, that changes everything. Now, what you take your card. I'm just going to put it right there. Most magicians would have to shuffle, cut, do something tricky. I'm not going to do that. Mike, I'm just going to simply ask you, say stop. I'm going to start dealing down. Just say the word stop. Anytime I want to say stop.
I'm stopping. Stop. Stop.
Again, it was in my hand. Put it back or down.
No, you put that one down. Go ahead.
Okay, you're changing everything up here, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to mix it up.
I'm going to take your 5 of hearts here and put that right there. And again, I'm going to drop this down just like that. Now, here's the thing. You guys, if you want to go big on the picture, that's fine. So you can see here, this is where you said stop. And this is where you said stop. All right. So, sorry there. Said stop there. We said stop there. Pulling the cards out, they're a little sticky. I made a prediction with the King of Hearts. He's finding his partner, the King of Diamonds. Over here, I made a prediction with the 5 of Hearts. He's finding his partner, the 5 of Diamonds. Now, here's the cool thing. Out of all these different backed cards, it's amazing you found only 2 that had matching backs in the entire. Only 2 that had matching backs. But here's the really weird thing. Here's what I don't understand. Is how you found those cards in this deck. That's right. These are all 9 of spades.
Huh. Okay. I'm gonna replay this show on slow motion, like 10 times till I get this figured out.
You might need more than 10, Mike.
Yeah. That's where the experience comes in. Lots of practice, lots of working hard, making the magic happen.
Well, we're starting to kind of near the end here, but I do have another question on that. How do you promote your show? How do you get new business in here? Is it social media useful?
Yeah. How do you get into the business?
No. How do you promote your business?
Promote. Well, yes, social media. Actually, I haven't been very good with social media, but I am in the last 2 weeks. I've actually brought somebody in helping me get social media going I have a fan page, but also now I'm working on Instagram and LinkedIn and all the different things. They're absolutely very important in this day and age. I still believe that one of the best things you can do is get out there. If somebody's trying to get into the business, the best thing to do is work as much as you can. When I first started, it was doing shows, even if it was $100 here, 150 there, 75 here, that didn't matter. I was getting in front of real audiences. You can practice as much as you want, but a live show is the only way you really get real world experience. So I perform so many shows, people see me. I would say 95% of my business is from people that have seen me somewhere, whether it's a theme park or somewhere else, and have booked me and brought me in through that way.
Okay. Yeah, that word of mouth and in person, that makes a lot of sense.
Word of mouth is the best way to advertise.
Yeah.
One last question, real quick, Sam. What do you enjoy most about entertaining people? What do you enjoy most about entertaining people?
Spread this message.
Be kind. Yeah.
That's real magic. I get to go out, I'll tell you. I'm going to do this here. Real quick for you. This is some thread. We all travel life. And this thread here, we'll call it the thread of life. What I enjoy is telling people that I face brokenness. And you think, why would I have joy about that? Because I get to tell them the ending. See, we all face difficulty. We all face brokenness. The question is not when you face it, but what will you do when you face it? Are you going to allow it to become all balled up and overwhelming and hold it, keep you from succeeding? No. You see, if you're willing to work hard, willing to believe in yourself, you'll discover something I discovered many years ago, and that is this. Through that hard work, through that positive attitude, through the magic of kindness, you turn that stumbling block into a stepping stone. And this is the best part of why I do what I do. Because when you work hard, when you believe in yourself, when you have that positive attitude, you'll discover the magic to succeed is already inside each and every one of you. Believe in yourself.
Thank you very much, Sam. That's inspirational. It's a great story. It definitely it's a turn from what we usually do on Money Matters, and much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I am very thankful to be here, and hopefully I've inspired you and some others. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now our next guest on Money Matters TV is Ken Milner of Warren, McGraw, and Knowles LLC. Thank you for watching Money Matters TV, and we look forward to seeing you next time where your money matters.